Hey everyone, Namaste. So now we look at the star weather forecast for the year of Loki, 2025 Lunar New Year chart analysis. So the same thing, we're going to go ahead and do the summary first and then move on to the body of the analysis. Get situated here. Let's see. Okay, so for Lunar New Year 2025, which is happening January 29th, 2025 at 4:36 a.m. Pacific time. So from this chart, we can see that there are just tremendous economic opportunities that will be available to us 2025, and also a lot of trickery involved. And of course, we'll go through the chart and see exactly why. And number two, I've dubbed this year as the year of Loki, and the year of Mercury. So basically, it boils down to be cunning and not deceiving. It's a great year for fast sales and transactions. And please do triple check contracts this year. Let's see. And be aware of fancy schemes that overpromise on volatile investments. Either it's, the new form of cryptocurrency or the traditional form of investments, stocks, stuff like that. And there's going to be a rise of extraordinary talents, and it's a great year to develop hidden talents. If you're interested in what do you call it, having a side gig, to participate in the gig economy, this is the year to try things out. And five, there's an increase of opportunities second half of the year, and they're beneficial trines that are lined up. And I was saying in the January analysis, planets start going into retrograde near the end of the year, starting from the middle of the year to the end of the year. But still, that's when opportunities come back, opportunities recirculate, they circle back to us, so on and so forth. So the just all sorts of opportunities are available to us second half of the year. So I know it sounds like a plus and a minus, with the theme being Loki. And when I was writing the blog out, when I was just going into the chart, the image just came into my head so naturally. And all the aspects, sort of the storyline that are coming up from the chart, sort of just mirrors Loki's developmental arc. And I'm not talking about Loki in terms of the traditional Norse mythology, because I'm actually not really familiar with what the formal mythology is. But I'm talking about the Loki that we see in the Marvel movies, and how the character has developed from the Thor series to the Loki series, to him eventually being mature enough to realize that trickery doesn't work, and that sometimes he needs to sacrifice himself. Talk about sacrifice. He needs to sacrifice himself in order to fulfill his purpose, his to put his powers to good use, and hence fulfill his personal destiny. So it's poignant when we look at it from that way. But in terms of our own personal use, just remember that it's going to be a great year of fast transactions. We're going to see a lot of smart marketing. You know, we're in the age of AI where everything has gone through AI to maximize either the product's attraction or to maximize effectiveness in terms of marketing. So, you know, it's a year of great opportunities if we're the ones doing the marketing, and a year where we have to be more aware of being deceived by the same marketing. So it's a mixed bag. But this is what the collective gaze is focused on, is economic transactions, economic gains, economic prosperity. We're focused on the actual physical gains of the money, the moolah. And that's just how the energies are manifested this year. There's really no good or bad. It's just how we want to use it. Okay, so that is the summary. Let's go to the body of the analysis. So first, just a little bit about why we use a Lunar New Year chart to forecast for the entire year is because it tells us the collective intentions, much like personal New Year resolutions, except we're looking at it for the masses. And with focus plus time and energy through the year, intentions congeal into manifestations down the road. So while subsequent new moons can edit our collective intentions, the Aquarius new moon is still potent in forecasting the main direction for our collective focus, because Aquarius is the sign of the collective. So here is the Aquarius new moon 2025 chart, January 29th, 2025. So right out of the gate, we know simply that finance and worldly success is on the minds of the collective. We see new moon in the second house of the chart, pointing the collective consciousness to the area of personal finance in the second house and material wealth. Then chart ascendant ruler, Jupiter. Where is Jupiter? Jupiter right there. In the sixth, in trine with the new moon, while conjuncting Aldebaran, the star that signifies material and worldly success. We're all expanding efforts to ensure personal prosperity. It's personal prosperity because it's the second house. It's being able to put our skills to good use in return for material security and resources. And here is the caveat. Jupiter in Gemini is the trickster. That's why I've named this year Loki. So he's a trickster and is not above scams and underhanded tactics for transactional gains. Do whatever it takes to expand, basically. I think Loki, he's the consummate trickster, and it takes experience and multiple life lessons before he learns the value of morality. And we see the level of cunningness as Gemini's ruler Mercury conjuncts Pluto in the first house, right there, signifying the depth of deception. Think AI neural marketing that could entrap and entrance the collective imagination. And a South Node has freshly moved into Virgo on January 11th. Where is South Node? There it is, South Node in Virgo. just entering Virgo because the node's always in, they're always in retrograde motion. Um, did I say that right? Yeah, freshly moved into Virgo. It is in trine with its ruler Mercury. And ironically, there will be moralistic seduction in the messaging, and whatever the message is selling would seem to be for the greater good of humanity, as North Node conjuncts Neptune and Venus in the third house of communication. And another interpretation would be that the trickster themselves do not see the duplicity and potential harm behind their own messaging and truthfully believe they are operating under justifiable circumstances. In that sense, even charities can be seen employing manipulative, false messaging, and even unlawful tactics for financial gains this year. The misdeeds may stay unnoticed while Jupiter transits Gemini, but Saturn never misses a karmic beat. And when he conjuncts Neptune in Aries, Aries 12th house in February 2026, we face the fruits of our deeds and actions. So with Jupiter in Gemini, the good thing is we are much more creative around marketing. We're much more creative around, I'm just going to say it, manipulating the system, hopefully on the legal side, on the not crossing the legal line, that is. Manipulating circumstances so that we're able to gain, so that we're able to win, so that we're able to sell and make those transactions work. So the plus side is Jupiter in this case becomes very creative. Just think of all the ploys that Loki's have used through the Thor movies, through Loki, in order to get at his goal. Think that way. So there is cleverness that can be applauded here. And what I'm saying is that Saturn, while like Saturn in Pisces, he is sort of recording and just putting things on a ledger right now before he closes the books and start dishing out the karmic returns. And he's going to go into Aries and conjunct Neptune. When did I say this? February 2026. And that's when we really cannot avoid the fruits of our labor, or the fruits of our cunningness, the payback of our cleverness if it was done immorally. So don't do that, because we're all going to be tempted to do so simply because the opportunities are abound. There's so many opportunities for us to do so. Like, what's wrong with just, skimming a little bit of cream off the top when the company is making billions and billions? What's a little what's a little bit of pocketing? It's nothing. Like it's loose change, and apply that to any other transactional commercial activities. We're going to see a lot of short changing tactics coming up in 2025, and people profiting from short changing. But then it doesn't go unpunished, as I said. With Saturn, and Saturn moves relatively fast. When we talk about karma, Saturn changes signs, I believe, every two and a half years about, because Saturn return is 27 to 30 years. So Saturn transit is about 2.5 years, while Jupiter is yearly transit. So that means we don't really get to hide from personal karma. Sometimes we get to hide from generational karma, as in the crimes of the past generation can be dished out much, much later, such as Pluto, because Pluto have like 250 some years of transit through the zodiac, that is, as in, just like America, the United States Pluto return is around this time. I think it just happened. I forgot which year exactly. But the crimes of our ancestors, whatever it was that was at the time of the revolution, now as the offsprings, I'm not a direct descendant, obviously, but as descendants of this country, this nation, we're now paying for the crimes of our forebears. So Pluto karma gets handed later in the line, but Saturn personal karma can be handed like that. So don't do anything that you know you won't be able to handle when Saturn starts to dish out personal karmic payback. That's all I'm saying. Overall, this year, we encounter expanded amounts of economic opportunities. We could also be blinded by the seduction of success, that we slip into the perversion or sell out of our soul. So be clever, not crooked, as I just said. This chart shows a collective intention and not manifestation. So there's time to augment our actions so that we align with the brighter frequencies of this chart. Hold on. And that is the ability to take an opportunity and run with it with cleverness and guile. As I said, we get to market ourselves, find opportunities to market ourselves in a way that is very, I don't want to say deceiving, because that's not what we want to do. That is very smart. That is very packaged. Okay, that's the word I want to use. That is very packaged beneficially in our favor. So be very aware of unethical practices and easy shortcuts that could lead to, again, karmic payback down the road, or even disputes with our partners. And we see Mars in Cancer 7th, squaring Chiron, Aries 4th. So Mars right there in the 7th is squaring Chiron in the 4th. It indicates defensive maneuvers from either party if given a reason. And because Mars in Cancer looks to the new moon in Aquarius, this could signify large-scale class action lawsuits, government investigations, or as audits for blatant acts of legal transgressions. And remember, Loki of the Marvel movies got away with subterfuge and deceit many times, but he still had to answer for all of them eventually and grapple the meaning of his existence. What's the point of all of this subterfuge? What is the point of all of this deception if he's living a meaningless life? And so eventually he sacrificed for the greater good, because it gave him his meaning. So yes, use this chart to market yourself, your business, your products, and services up to the gray zone, then full be you for crossing it. So don't cross it, because Saturn always dishes out karma. And year of fast shifts. This is not a year of stability, but fast shifts, changes, opportunities. We've left the theme of deboning old structures and skeleton growing new structures in 2024. The process was slow and painful, and with new headings and new partnerships, we're itching to move forward in the new system. But the cards are wild and unknown and will require all of us to think on our toes and be flexible. And these rising opportunities can test our boundaries, physical and moral boundaries. Some old moral boundaries will be broken and recognized as a new norm, while other boundary crossings can bring existential crisis and chaos. And we grapple the meaning of humanity, just like the developmental arc of Loki. So I think it feels like we might make very just fast mistakes, just because the current is so fast. All the transactions are happening at such a fast pace, so that we would become prone to want to take shortcuts, and sometimes illegal shortcuts. I'm not saying I would, we would, but just general energy suggests that we can see that from time to time. And sometimes it's even done unconsciously, because it was just what's convenient for people so they can meet the deadlines of those transactions, because it's so fast paced. For example, with AI being right in the middle of the Pluto Aquarius trine Jupiter and Gemini mix, are we ready to call virtual reality the new reality? Do we label AI fantasy as duplicity or harmless modern make-believe? Are we willing consumers of Loki's illusions and deception? And where is the line between a benign trickster and the devil in disguise? All of this is new territory that we must explore as collective. And I have an example here. So it's very practical. Think of a bag of Doritos. So it's a physical thing. It has nothing to do with AI. It's in reality where, we open a bag of Doritos and we take out a chip and it's a physical thing. And we bring it to our mouth and we enjoy the taste, enjoy the combinations of the spices. So two fronts. One, we know that I think on some, I don't know if it's an expose or it's just widely known knowledge. I forgot where I got this information from, but the flavoring of Doritos is highly engineered to elicit sort of an to maximize addictive response, so that we would want to keep eating it, so that we never reach satiety. It gets rid of satiety so that we do not feel fulfilled, even at the end of the bag, at the bottom of the bag, we're not feeling fulfilled. So it's sort of engineered, chemically engineered that way, so that it triggers our appetite and suppresses satiety. And on another level, it is marketed. So that's why I say AI. It can be marketed at a level where we are basically eating, a part of what we're eating is marketing. We're no longer eating the intrinsic values of the physical thing. We are eating what has been mentally transmitted into our neural systems, so that we are also digesting information or digesting marketing knowledge. It's almost like we're flavoring the Doritos with the spices of neuromarketing. So we're also eating Uh, I want to say they are like virtual spices, because what marketing does is it creates a virtual environment for the brain so that we experience something extra than what is intrinsic within the hard ingredients, within the actual physical ingredients. So that's what I mean by, are we ready to accept that as reality? The virtual reality that we add into the actual, you know, touch it, feel it, smell it, eat it, uh, material, and how much value do we assign that virtual reality? And this is a trend. No matter what we're doing, that is the nature of marketing, except that it's been given the steroids of AI and neuromarketing. So we are blurring the lines between virtual reality and what's real. And we've been doing that since the industrial age, pretty much since marketing's been invented by a whole bunch of MBAs. But now it's just so much more exaggerated with the advent of AI manipulation. Good or bad, I'm not saying manipulation as a good thing or a bad thing. It's just that's what it is. And to what level do we say that's morally okay? And maybe we're getting rid of the old paradigm completely, where we're saying, it's virtual reality is the new paradigm, and we're okay with that, and that's that. So that's what I'm talking about here. And political implications. In view of the above, with the political slant, we move into the territory of political propagandists on the level of George Orwell's 1984 and the Big Brother. Pluto Mercury in Aquarius first, with Sagittarius ascendant in the Aquarius new moon chart, denotes potential psychological and religious manipulation of the masses. So let's look at that. Pluto Mercury first. For the chart real quick. So Pluto Mercury right there in the first house. And with the ascendant of Sagittarius, which is about, strong beliefs, sometimes religious, sometimes extreme, sometimes a zealot, and sometimes makes a lot of sense. But in this case, because Pluto perverts it when it is not acting in a positive way, this combination is propaganda toward the masses, the instilling of certain beliefs towards the masses, with Pluto and Mercury in Aquarius, the sign of the masses, and Jupiter again with the trickster involved. We know that, this is these are not very open messages. They're actually subconscious messages. These are manipulations under the table. And there's a word that I'm thinking of. Not subterfuge. Subliminal. That's the word. These are subliminal messages. That is characteristic of propagandists. Sometimes propagandists, especially in our history, they're blatantly just because in authoritarian regimes, they don't care, right? They're just very obvious. Hey, I'm authoritarian. This is the propaganda. I don't even need to hide the fact that this is government propaganda. I can do it in the light of day and call it propaganda and call it, hey, this is just, it's just best for the collective, you know, and that's it. But sort of, it needs to be a little more subliminal when, you know, we're at least in the US, we're operating, supposedly operating under the system of democracy where propaganda is not welcome, is not allowed, is illegal. It's, you know, it's not what we're about. So then that means it needs to be done subliminally. And again, with the advent of AI and neural marketing, it's not a difficult thing at all because we have trained all of our citizens to become consumers, and that's been done subliminally to train all of us to behave like consumers, to act like consumers, to quack like consumers. And when that happens, it's easier for corporations to control. And in that sense, governments will do the same thing. So that's what that is. We also see Scorpio in the 11th house of government, looking to the Mars-Pluto opposition in the first, 7th axes, pointing to potential conflicts over national security and perverting the needs and rights of the individual to serve the supposed needs of the collective. Mars-Pluto, let me just bookmark that. Mars and Pluto opposition. Where is it? Mars-Pluto opposition. I have to remind myself what I said. Pointing to potential conflicts over national security, yes. Perverting the needs and rights of an individual to serve the supposed needs of the collective. Yeah, in this case, because we're playing again with the messaging towards the masses, and also sort of the efforts that we need to put in for the sake of defense, we find that the individual would be sacrificed, would be sort of perverted and sacrificed in this case. This may seem far-fetched right now, but the chart is unmistakably giving off the dystopian frequency if we choose to manifest in that direction. If we choose to manifest in that direction, there is a choice here. And we see Loki posing as the king, just like the Marvel movie Thor Ragnarok. This is a year to not take things at face value, as I've repeated so many times. Do we take virtual reality at face? Do we take subliminal messaging at face value? Do we accept subliminal messaging? You know, we all want to benefit from it. We want that's just how it works. We want other people to be truthful so that they don't take advantage of us, but we want ourselves to be clever so that we can take advantage of others. That's, you know, for some reason, a lot of us are okay with that as a collective, as human species. For some reason, we just turn a blind eye towards it. We don't want to, you know, be taken advantage of, but we want to take advantage of others. Oh yeah. How do we justify that? I'm not saying there's an answer here, but really, how do we, it's almost existential. How do we justify that? So again, this is the year to not take things at face value, but employ discernment and put the subject to the rigors of your sixth sense before you commit. And I say sixth sense because if we just look at it analytically, it still may seem like it's a good deal. It may still seem like it's normal. It may still seem like the real thing. It may still seem legit because AI is getting that good. I mean, AI hasn't passed the Turing test. Um, the last time I checked, as far as my understanding is able to comprehend, it's passed like 50%, either 50% of the times, or it passed as uh, like it has 50% level. It's reached 50% level of simulating humanity. I don't know. It's one of those, but it's at 50% something. So it hasn't passed the Turing test 100% yet, but it's getting there. That's, what is alarming to me, that um, it's a no-brainer that it is going to pass the Turing test and mimic humanity. I don't know when, but it's coming. So that's why it almost comes down to getting in touch with the sixth sense, having the intention for self-protection, at least self-protection. If we're really ethical and we're not in it to hurt people, we're not trying to deceive others. We just really want to be safe. At least have that level of understanding where we're able to protect ourselves. And the only way right now is just turn up that sixth sense. I don't know how else to describe it. When something kind of feels fishy, even though there's no evidence of something fishy going on. It's just like the Loki example. Like, you see the king sitting there and you see the entourage, his entourage. And, it seems like the king has all the correct features. The mole is at the right place. And the laugh lines, the fine lines are all at the right place. And nothing seems to be amiss. But there's just something that is off. Then that's when you respond accordingly. Either back off or don't sign the deal, cancel the deal. Find another provider, a service provider, blah, 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 blah. Respond accordingly. Sort of tune up that gut response this year. Tune up the spidey sense this year. Okay, and just sort of a side note in terms of AI integration, it would kind of start becoming dominant in 2028 when Pluto will conjunct Aquarius new moon, with Mars, Mercury also conjunct in Aquarius, signifying an impatience to integrate convenience, which means integrating AI into our everyday life. And the indications for cryptocurrency and blockchain implementation in the mainstream is also undeniable. And Saturn will transit Taurus starting 2028, when regulatory systems might begin to take shape. And by 2032, when Uranus Saturn conjuncts, regulations might be formally implemented. Cryptocurrency may gradually evolve into a more stable form of exchange and done a different name down the road. But the theme of decentralization and blockchain continues to move with momentum. Wherever ledgers are needed, banking, healthcare, gaming, voting, privacy, identification, etc., is where blockchain integration applies. And this progression is not for the faint of heart or the analog-minded, such as myself, an older millennial who still remembers the pre-internet ages. Requires agility of the mind and body to navigate these upcoming energies. So for the analogers, take good care of the physical body and start practicing and using applied AI and get familiar with blockchain. even if we don't plan to learn the engineering and the logic behind it, or you kind of sort of need to know the logic. So what I'm saying is, even for us, those who remember the analog times, we don't need to get into it to really integrate it into our lives, but we need to get into it for self-defense. We need to get into it. It's like we need to learn the magic of Loki's capability. That's all I'm saying. We need to learn Loki's capability, to learn his profile. I am not a gaming person, but this is from my reference is from uh Jumanji, at least the Jumanji made in the 2010, 16, 19, whatever, where when you tap on the player's chest, you get a list of uh, the character strength and weaknesses. This is what we need to do in the upcoming Aquarian AI age. It's that, sure, as sort of the old-timey analoger, we really, I honestly think that we're going to move on from this world before we really need to integrate AI in all parts of our lives and integrate these new financial technologies in all parts of our lives. However, we need to understand it so that we're not tricked by it, so we're not deceived by it, so we can be self-defensive. So we know the tricks of Loki, so that we know when Loki is playing tricks, even when we don't want to participate in his shenanigans. That's fine. But we need to know what he's about. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm arguing here. And in terms of, cryptocurrency, I know it's really volatile right now, and there's that dance of the hype and then the fall, the hype, the fall, the hype and fall. And is it ever going to be stable enough to replace the current financial institution, the current financial structure? Honestly, I don't know. It's just I can only talk about astrological energies. What the energy is showing is that what the universe, the planetary cycles are wanting us to do is simply to evolve the financial system so that the resources become more equitably distributed. That's all the planetary energies is asking us to do. We have to have more equitable distribution of resources, income, wealth, and uh, accessibility of healthcare, equal accessibility of healthcare, so on and so forth, because that's the meaning of Aquarian age, is equitable distribution of resources without reverting back to the older political systems that we know already do not work. It makes everybody equal, but then you end up with one who holds all power, all authority, and we know that doesn't work. So, it's trying to come up with a new system where resources are distributed more equally, resources including information. And that's why uh, uh, blockchain, doesn't matter if cryptocurrency actually remains or not. Blockchain is the baby that we don't throw out with the bathwater. It's like cryptocurrency is an invention that may go out of style, but the idea of blockchain, the idea of distributing power more equitably, more equally, more evenly, is what the planetary energies are headed towards, is pushing humanity to do. So it's not really about either cryptocurrency is going to last, or even if it's going to evolve into something else completely different. It's the philosophy behind decentralization, the philosophy behind blockchain, that I see is just not going to leave. It will just continue. We'll continue to perfect it. The next generation will continue to have the impulse to invest, to experiment, to implement, to improve, to evolve it so that we do reach the Aquarian vision of equality, of equity. I'm not going to say equality, but equity of some sort. So that's why I bring this up. I'm not saying that, oh my God, we have to go, we have to get used to cryptocurrency right away. It's not, there's some crypto enthusiasts who are doing that right now. Like, this is it, this is the future, we have to do it. From my perspective, because I'm only looking at planetary energies, what is truly in alignment may not be cryptocurrency itself, because right now as it stands, you have a large amount of resources in crypto that are only held by maybe 1,000 plus people. So that is not an equitable distribution of resources. So I can't say that in terms of the planetary energies, cryptocurrency would be supported in its current form on the long run, but absolutely the ideals of decentralization, the ideals of blockchain, the ideals of equitable distribution of resources is in complete alignment with planetary energies down the road. And of course, the revolution, the evolution, the pain, the trials and tribulations that we have to go through to get to that vision, the Aquarian vision of equity. So that's what that's about, and that's why I'm bringing this up, is for us analoger. It's a reminder for me as an analoger to start getting familiar with these ideas. If not crypto, then at least the technology behind it, the visions behind it, the philosophies behind it, so that we really do support the next generation. We encourage the next generation to continue to explore the subject and experiment around the subject of equity. Okay, Loki and Mercury for 2025. So for the above reasons, I am naming Loki and Mercury as the mascots of 2025. We're looking at young people vibes with fast-paced informational exchanges, opportunities, and economic transactions we talked about. We're also looking at Loki level manipulations, mirage illusions that can seem sincere but underhanded. And because the mascot is Mercury, it goes into retrograde March 15th through April 7th, July 18th through August 11th, November 9th through November 29th. Be additionally vigilant around informational exchanges and marketplace transactions, as in be additionally careful around contracts, check the fine prints multiple times before signing contracts, especially during the retrograde period. For most of us, I don't want to say most of us, for maybe half, 75%, half to 75% of us who's born under a forward moving Mercury, this is when we have to be additionally aware to proofread the contracts before we sign or submit them for our client's approval. So it's not that I don't think malice would be implied, but it's just how the energies go this year. We sacrifice detail, we sacrifice accuracy for convenience this year. That's where mistakes happen. Because things are happening so fast, so furious, that we are not looking at the fine print, that we are missing uh, the details that need to go into those agreements. So just be aware. And then the rise of otherworldly talents on a brighter note. We can see many phenomenal and transcendent talents in any creative fields burst into the scene and rise into fame quickly. And as Saturn is en route to conjunct North Node, this is a time when wild dreams can come into reality. The new moon chart shows creative forces that are truly out of this world. We have the 5th and 10th house, both ruled by Venus, in the 3rd, conjuncting Neptune and North Node. So let's see. The 510, what puts us in the public eye. 5/10th house here, ruled by Venus, and Venus is in the 3rd house of communication, together with Neptune and North Node. This is some dreamy, creative stuff that's going to come through, and I would even say literature. New authors bursting into the scene with new ways of writing, new ways of describing. That's just completely out of this world. So even if we claim to be just an ordinary existence, extraordinary talent can emerge unexpectedly under this collective chart. So like if you've always dreamed to be a writer and you've been dabbling, this could be the year where lightning strikes and something gets channeled to you and you become this avant-garde talent that gives us something in literature that we've never seen before. This is possible, and in all areas of all creative fields, that's possible. And self-publishing, personal media are no longer just for influencers. They have become a normal part of human existence that all are expected to partake as proof of evolution and integration to society. So even like even without blogging and stuff like that, just the utilization of Facebook, utilization of social media is just become a normal part of our existence. So make use of it to explore your creative range. Especially for the next generations, they're meant to see astronomical possibilities as opposed to earthen. To lead our evolution towards new paradigms. And we look forward to the extraordinary in our children. Just the next wave of children leaps and bounds from earthen to celestial. I say astronomical, but just in terms of the feeling tones of it, I'm talking about like it seems improbable celestial. That's what the chart shows. So, a quick summary: first half, second half. First half, be agile with the winds of change. All of us will need to learn to sail through changing tides and energies this year. No matter the direction of winds, we adjust the sails to navigate to our advantage. This can seem a little self-serving and scheming, but that's what this Loki Mercury year is asking us to do. It's okay to be self-serving and scheming. Just don't cross the line into the gray or the neutral zone. Don't even go into the neutral zone. Stay within the borders of our legal bindings. At the baseline, we need some cleverness to counteract some gray maneuvers. That's where the cleverness comes in, is to make sure that we are counteracting those gray maneuvers and also catch the winds of new trends and fast-paced opportunities. So talking about gray maneuvers, It's already a no-brainer that scammers are getting really, really creative and really pervasive to a point where, I assume scamming first before I assume that it's real. We are at that age, ladies and gentlemen, where, we're assuming that it's a scam first before we're assuming legitimacy. So where's the line of truth? No, we don't really know anymore. But again, we adopt cleverness. We research into Loki. We get close to Loki. We get familiar with Loki. We get familiar with the tricks of the scammer trade. We get familiar with the tricks of AI, the tricks of virtual reality, so we can recognize the scammers who are using this technology to scam. That's where we need to really upkeep our cleverness. And that is a caution to myself as well, who is an analoger, still prefers to be an analoger, still prefers, to have, an actual, here, let me show you. Still use an actual journal to journal, still prefer to write on actual paper to journal, still prefer to draw in hand, stuff like that. So it's, you know, I understand completely that habitual preference to actually want to have some sort of palpability around my life. I still want to smell the flowers. I still want to read books. I still buy books in paper form. I still do that. So this is just a little self-caution, self-warning that, hey, it's time to really up the level. It's really time to receive this new wave, this new age, where we're able to have this sort of amazing opportunities, I would say, to have that amazing opportunity to be able to get on to the wave of energies that might bring us equity. I know it's hard, it's a hard progression, but it's like it helps us get to the next wave. It helps us get to for us, it's about assisting the next generation, because I don't think as analogers we'll get to that next wave. It's assisting the next generation to get to the next wave. Okay. So, second half of 2025, a couple of very beneficial aspects here. June 24th, Sun conjunct Jupiter. July 1st, Venus conjunct Uranus. August 11th, Venus conjunct Jupiter. October 24th, Mercury trine Jupiter. October 27th, Mars trine Jupiter. November 11th, Jupiter retrograde trine Saturn retrograde. November 16th, Sun trine Jupiter. November 26th, Venus trine Jupiter. So a lot of play with Jupiter, while Jupiter is already in Cancer at this point. So Jupiter goes into Cancer June 9th. And through the second half of 2025, planets begin forming harmonious aspects with Jupiter one by one, while Saturn retrograde keeps in trine with Jupiter retrograde through November and December. This is a time when we begin to experience some relief as our outer and inner circumstances become more in sync with opportunities, and we're able to resonate and co-create with our goals and intentions much more powerfully, as opposed to treading water. So I would say, not to say that the effort that we put in before this time, before the second half of 2025, would be treading water, There's just a sense that because of the Pluto-Mars opposition, we actually need to be spending time clearing out the plate, clearing out, as I talked about in the January forecast, clearing out past triggers to transmute some old stuff before we really focus all of our attention on the opportunities. So that's what I mean. So not only is the second half full of opportunities, but our ability to align ourselves with these opportunities are greater than they have been before. So make good use of it. And just to look ahead a little bit, by Lunar New Year 2026, we're continuing the theme of commerce in 2025 and entering a year of entrepreneurial efforts. So there's an arc here where 2024 was priming relationships, with Venus being the mascot. And 2025, we roll into commercial focus with Mercury as the mascot. That's this coming year in a couple of days. And then next year, 2026, we R&D, research and develop, and birth new territories in collective and personal finance with Saturn, Neptune as co-mascots as or of 2026. So it's also when we begin to see cryptocurrency adapted into mainstream applications, meaning we are virtualizing our lives in more and more significant ways. So as I said, it may not be cryptocurrency, but some sort of the integration of some sort of blockchain technology into the traditional form of banking and finance. Again, I should really reward that. Not reward, but reword. I don't mean that the currency itself, crypto itself, is going to be adapted, but it's the underlying philosophies. The blockchain technology and pieces of it that would be mature enough at that time for us to start bringing pieces of it into the financial body or the financial governance. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work exactly, but the energy seems to show that. Okay, so that is 2025, titled The Year of Loki. For some of you, this is a great year again for your businesses, for your finances, for your financial holdings, for your investments. Great year to take advantage of opportunities. Take advantage of opportunities. When the chart asks us to do it, we do it. In alignment with our abilities, in alignment with our moral compass, in alignment with our ethics, and in our alignment with our ability to be creative. And that's okay too. Sometimes we're able to take creative advantages. And that's all a part of the free market. That's what we do. It's just that line of where where marketing just becomes too manipulative, and we just let convenience take over and just let it go. That's when we have to be a little more aware. Are we in alignment with the energies of encouraging equity down the road for our offsprings, for our descendants? Are we creating an equitable environment for them? Are we encouraging the um, the exploration of what equity can look like for generations to come? Or are we using this energy to exacerbate the income disparity and to manipulate things um, into, let's say, the philosophical wrong? There's no wrong really in philosophy. Uh, Not philosophical wrong. To manipulate things. I'm just gonna say to manipulate things into further disparity. Either socio-economic disparity, political disparity, power dynamics disparity in all arenas, in all fields, in all paradigms. Um, and it's going to be a hard, difficult year to really think deeply before we make those decisions because again, it's a fast-paced year. It's fast. Like I'm bracing myself. I'm scared of fast. I'm not a fast person. I like to do things at my pace. I like to have quality in my work. Um, for every project that I have, I I just normally I just have one pace. I do things at that one pace. It's like I'm a turtle, but I'm consistent. I like that. And this is a year where I have to up level myself and be a bit of ninja mutant or yeah, teenage mutant ninja turtles. I have to be a little bit of a mutant version of myself to really to keep up. So that's 2025. Again, a lot of you, some of you, um, will benefit from it. And of course, we all know who's going to benefit in terms of the American United States political system, who's going to become president, a very Gemini person, a very Mercurian rule person, who is comparable to Loki, perhaps. I don't know, you may have a different perspective. But again, there's no right or wrong. It's just that where do we want our next generation to go? And what are we encouraging our next generation to align to? Okay, so that's 2025. I hope that this analysis is helpful and wishing you a happy new year, both happy Western New Year and also happy Chinese New Year, which is the same as the Lunar New Year. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys in another video.